Hey, what's going on, guys? This is KNasty390 here. We're back with some Oakland A's franchise. We've just won the World Series. We're now in the off season. We do have some tough decisions to make, as you can see right there on the screen. 2024 World Series champs. Great to see. Now, what you're hearing right now is not actually a live recording. This is me going over because the audio unfortunately did not work. So we kind of had to make do with what we have, and I'm just going over what we have done this off season. Unfortunately, already moved on to the next video, and I'd saved this game, so I couldn't go back and redo the off season. So this is what we have right now. We are working with this save file, so we'll go with it. You can see some players that retired: Castro, Betances, Andrew Miller retired. You can see the video is just a little laggy. That's kind of what the problems I was having with it. But just taking a real quick look at some players who did retire. I see there's Pat Light there, former Red Sox prospect. Jacob deGrom. Matt Harvey retired. So there are some big names who did retire this offseason. I know for a fact a couple of them did make the Hall of Fame. One of them really blew my mind. There's deGrom I mentioned. There's his career. Zach Britton there, retired with the Cubs. Had a pretty good career. I think that's all the ones that we checked. But as you take a look at the ones that made the Hall of Fame, Starlin Castro somehow made the Hall of Fame. God bless him. 2,448 hits, 283 home runs, 98 stolen bases. Paul Goldschmidt, I think he's a willing Hall of Famer. Obviously, one of the best players in baseball. So let's take a look at the managed contract screen here. As you can see, we have Villalobos is arbitration eligible. There's our draft picks, by the way. So as you can see, it's a little laggy. I do apologize. Just this one video. It won't happen moving forward. There's Villalobos, so the guy's a stud, one of the best players in baseball. He's only 22, only getting better. That potential and the overall is going up. He hit 33 home runs last year. So we want to sign him to a deal. I want to get him as many years as possible for a reasonable price, and it looked like a 3-year deal worth about $35 million was going to get the job done, I believe. About $26 million. So we offered him that. Then we have Luke Weaver, who had a really good, solid year for us. He's one of the pitchers I enjoy the most, or trust the most, I should say. So I definitely want to give him a contract. And I thought 13-ish million was a fair deal for Luke Weaver. So we offered him that. Derek Griffin's our third baseman. Guy is just a professional hitter, he's just one of our best hitters. Hit over 300 last year and 19 bombs, still over 20 bases, gets on base at an amazing clip. I definitely wanted to keep Derek Griffin. So we are going to give him a deal. Actually, we get a relatively team-friendly deal. 4 years, I think it ended up being right around 29 million, maybe 30 million. It was right at 30 million. I thought it was a great deal. Great deal for the team, great deal for him. That takes him until he's a free agent. Then we do have some tough decisions. Strasburg. I was going to maybe see what he wanted, but he wanted more money than I wanted to pay him. I didn't want to pay him $6 million for a guy who I really didn't trust anymore. Moving forward, Matt Olson. He's gone down 4 straight years in power. Only hit 27 home runs this year. Solid average, solid on base. However, we do have a young guy in the waiting, so I was thinking we should move on from Matt Olson. I was hoping he would want like a $3 or $4 million contract, and I could rationalize, have him be our bench guy, because you always need that power on the bench, especially in the playoffs. But as you can see, he wants about $8 million. I thought it was just best for Matt Olson to go play somewhere else. He's only 31, but he's definitely declining, but he's not someone that we really need on our team. So we're going to let him go. Kelvin Herrera is another guy that we had was a free agent. And eventually I'll get to that. Maybe. Okay, there we go. Kelvin Herrera is a free agent. Now, he pitched pretty well last year, ERA in the 3s. And he only wanted $3.8 million. So I thought that was a fair deal. So the rest of this, guys, I'm going to just cut all of it out. We're just signing our players here. So now you're going to just see this all edited right out. All right, so here we are, guys. I went through everything. As you can see, we offered the contract to Villalobos. Now, there were some players, actually, we had some decisions to make. Kenley Jansen, he pitched relatively well with us in the ERA in the 3.5s. However, his overall was dropping, and I just thought we can move on. We have other bullpen pieces. Triggs, I think it was wise. I want to keep him around. The guy's just been such a great player for us. I didn't want to get rid of him. So I decided, let's give him like a couple $1 million. He'll be our long man. I think that might do well for him. His stamina is pretty low, but maybe he can pitch out the bullpen. Pitch pretty solid for us. So I want him to be our long reliever moving forward. Other than that, there wasn't really that much news in regards to everyone else. Now, if you're wondering, should I give a qualifying offer to Strasburg or Olsen? I decided not to, because I was thinking they accepted him, last year, so we had to pay him basically $20 million. And I didn't think that was wise to do it this year when they both went down in overalls. Now, the free agent market might be different, where there's a need in first baseman or there's need in power, there's a need in pitchers, I didn't think it was worth the risk, because if we give him a qualifying offer, while they're just waiting on it, our budget is allocated for the $20 million each. So if we gave them each a qualifying offer, I basically have $40 million I'm tied to until they either accept or decline. And if they accept, they obviously get them. If they decline, they don't get them. Now, everyone accepted the offers we gave them. There's a couple 30-year-old minor leaguers I just didn't care about. Get our system a little younger. And there's our backup catcher. I did an arbitration with him. So take a look at the team real quick. Our pitchers. Now, we have Torres and we have Pinheiro, some top prospects. We're just releasing Strasburg to get him out of here so we can see, because we need to figure out who our starters are, because we have Weaver, Spanos, and Hutchinson, and then I want a young guy in either Torres or Pinheiro. Now, Pinheiro has a potential. He's one of the top prospects in baseball, so he's someone I'm more leaning towards. If you take a look at our relievers, we got a good amount. We have Acevedo, we have Ullman. I mentioned last week we won that third lefty. We've been facing so many teams in the playoffs who are left-handed dominant, and we use 2, but I want to be able to use 3 in matchup. So I want to get a third lefty. He doesn't have to be a superstar. It doesn't have to be like a 99, a 95. Like a mid-80s would be fine. Like something relatively cheap as a situational lefty to use for a couple batters in a big game or two, because that's really what we need him for. We don't need him for the season. We need him for a couple games. And there's A.J. Warner there. He is the guy who I'm promoting right now. He is definitely going to be a DH moving forward. We're letting Matt Olson go. We're going to get the young guy in there. He's cheap, and he's only 23. I'm pretty high on him. There's Whitaker there, as you can see. He has a pretty good contract with us, a couple years left. I'm kind of just looking through right now, I think, for all our just make sure what needs we have. I'm looking back at this now. There's Bud Duffy there. There's our speed guy. Alan Water could be our center field of the future. We have to worry about Trout. He's getting up there in age. His attributes are going down. His overall hasn't dropped, but his attributes are going down. So we have to be cautious that he doesn't start slipping, because we're paying him $30-something million. We're the Oakland A's. We're not the New York Yankees. We're not the Dodgers. We're not the Red Sox. We can't pay a guy $30 million to suck. Now, he doesn't suck yet. I don't think he will suck, but I would rather get rid of him a year too early than a year too late. So as we take a look at free agency here, we want to keep our draft picks. So let's take a look at some options out there. And look at this. Yarlin Garcia's that lefty. Now, I said just a second, we don't need a superstar. Now, he wants to be a closer, and we wouldn't give him that option. AJ Minter is another lefty, but he's not as good, and I feel like we can maybe get something else. And he doesn't really want to be with us. He just doesn't want to be with us. But Garcia does. He wants to close. He wouldn't close with us. We got Wiles to close. As we look at everyone else, there's no other really lefties here. So I think Garcia is the move. So we're going to make him an offer, a 2-year deal, but we don't want to tell him he's going to be a closer. I don't want him just to be upset during the regular season being like, why am I not closing? You're not. I want you to know you're a bullpen piece here. Now, if we get a guy who's a 91 overall, we don't need to, he won't be a situational lefty. We'll use him more as like an important piece, and Ullman will be our situational lefty, the lowest one. Now, we need another starter. Kyle Wright is an option here. There's some really good pitchers here who have qualifying offers attached to them, so we'd have to give up our first round pick, and I really don't want to give up our first round pick. I'm really high on I'm high on our drafts. We need to continue to do that to build our system moving forward. That if we ruin our system moving in, like if we take a couple years of having really bad drafts, we're gonna have to make some trades to get prospects back and kind of keep our cycle going. We can't just every player that we like, we can't just re-sign them. We're going to have to make tough decisions. I want to keep Matt Olson for a couple more years, but we just can't afford him. Strasburg, maybe, but his talent was kind of going down. But we're going to get to some tough decisions like with Trout. Like I said, get rid of him a year too early than a year too late. So because of that, we need to have young guys always ready to be like the next young guy to come up and play for us. So we want to make sure keep our draft picks. Don't put them towards it. I was looking at this real quick. Would there anyone to get, like as Anderson Espinoza, former Red Sox prospect, traded in a Drew Pomeranz trade? Still upsets me. Even though Pomeranz is a good player, it still does upset me. So we are just basically trying to get that left-handed Garcia reliever. It's really the big free agent. And we might come back to some of those starters later in free agency, but we might get one for a trade. We have actually a good amount of prospects that we can maybe trade for a starter that we have prospects who I don't think will be superstars, but are ready to play in the bigs. And they're not ready, but they won't play on our team. Now, Garcia did not sign with us, so we unfortunately have to move on. We need to find another lefty. There's Kyle Freeland signed. Francis Marte signed with the Blue Jays, went north of the border. Ohtani went to the Rockies. That's actually good. He's been playing for the Red Sox. We've been facing the Red Sox in the playoffs. That's great to see. He went to another team. Cavani, our former, remember we traded him last year. He got paid. Got 5 years, $110 million with the Red Sox. Good for him. You know what? He was one of our high picks, one of our first picks. He wasn't a great hitter. He did a lot of other things well. I guess you can kind of equate him to like Jason Hayward in real life. But good for him. He got money to the Red Sox. McKay signed with the Blue Jays. But as you can see, we wanted that reliever. Corey Seager signs with the Mets. Good deal for the Mets. 5 years, $71 million. Kyle Tucker goes to the Cardinals. Cody Bellinger signs with the Phillies. 30 years old, hit 31 home runs. Tyler O'Neill, Mariners prospect, goes to the Dodgers. So now we need to make some. We want to make sure our 40-man is all set. So we're just going to go through real quick and make sure anyone who would be eligible for the 40-man or eligible for the Rule 5 draft that we want to keep. So there's Pinheiro, that guy. I want him to be our number 5. Worst case scenario, maybe our number 4. It depends. Just moving through the rest of these. Steven Jennings was a guy we want to make sure we keep. Salgado, we want to keep. Like, these guys right now are like borderline major league players. Jimmy Elliott, a reliever, is a borderline major league player. Chavez is a top prospect that I want to keep. He's a borderline major league player. Acevedo is a major league reliever, but we really don't have a spot for him, so we're going to move on from him. Winston Mudd is a guy that we might look to move. He has a $2 million salary tied to him. If we're going to get a lefty reliever, we're going to have to get rid of a righty reliever, so we have to look at maybe one of those options. And we'll probably get rid of the more expensive option unless he's clearly better than the cheaper alternative. There's my phone that just fell. Moving on, there's our catchers. I mean, there's Josh Naylor there. A.J. Warner, obviously he's not eligible for the Rule 5 draft. We've already called him up to the bigs. Rick Elias. I was just looking at him. He has like a $4 million deal. Now, he's not the best player. He's an 83 overall, but he plays better than his overall. It's kind of like Triggs. He's like a really good hitter, really solid power, nothing crazy. Luis Diaz is a 93 overall, but he doesn't really feel like it. We do have Fuentes, who's an A potential guy, but we need to, I don't know, Diaz might be a guy that we may move on because he plays worse than his overall, I feel like. That's kind of what we have to figure out. Guys who play worse than their overalls, move on from. Guys who play better than their overalls, that's who we kind of need to get. Griffith plays amazing. We want him. Jackie Jensen, I think he may be a guy we may move this offseason to get a pitcher if we need one. As you can look at our shortstops. We don't have much there. As you can see, the quality of this video is just really lousy. It was something up on my Elgato. I did not notice it until after I hit the save on my MLB game. So it saved what I did this offseason, so I couldn't go back. I'll make sure I will always double check the videos good before I hit save, so this does not happen in the future. Now there's Asparati. He may be our left fielder of the future. We have Gil Cruz as a nice young hitter, but he hasn't really hit yet. A nice young player, but if he doesn't, Asparati looks like he can hit, so we might call him up. So that's pretty much that part of the offseason. We went through that. We still have a couple pitchers we might go after. Braxton Garrett goes to the Marlins. There's some other guys I've never heard of. Jose De Leon went to the White Sox. AJ Puck, former A, goes to the Brewers. Cordoba goes to the D-backs. Kyle Wright, the guy we were looking at, went to the Indians, one of our biggest rivals in the American League, the Cleveland Indians, them and the Red Sox. So now we're kind of at that situation. Do we get one of these other guys? I'm seeing these people getting signed. Who do we go after? There's Tehran is an option. There is Vince Velasquez. There's Trevor Bauer is an option. Tehran, actually, I was really thinking about it. I did not end up, I don't think I gave him a deal because he wants to be an ace, and then the money-wise, $9 million is kind of pricey. As you can see, he really would like that over the other deals, but I decided not to offer that. I thought maybe we can get a young guy in a younger guy in a trade. Because like I said, we have guys who are like major league ready with like solid potential. Not like A, but like a B potential. Who I think will be good players, not amazing players, but try to trade like 3 ponies for a horse. You know what I mean? So right now we're looking for a lefty reliever. This Claudio is definitely an option. We had him in the past. He's a very good reliever. Moving on, I'm just looking at everyone. Yona's a righty. Nothing really here. I mean, if I get someone young, that's great. I was looking mostly for a controllable lefty on a good deal, like hoping $3 million to $4 million a year, a couple years best. I mean, Felipe Rivera's in the final year of his deal. The reason is like I don't have to worry about their contract for a couple years. Wei Chang Wang was an option. However, he didn't pitch amazing, so I kind of moved on from him. Archie Bradley's right-handed, so that's a moot point. Let's see, Zach Curtis was right-handed. If you're wondering how I know if they're right-handed or left-handed, I just look at the picture when it pops up and they'll show their handiness. So if you're ever trying to figure that out, like this right there, that guy is left-handed. Ken Jay, he's a 72 overall, though I don't think he was ready yet. There's Chapman, we could bring him back, but I was thinking he's pretty old. He's 37, and I didn't think, we could just find someone maybe a little younger. Moving on here, there's Danny Burrows, but he's amazing. He's like a star. However, realistically getting into work, I didn't think it was going to happen. Davinsky's right-handed, obviously. Kenley Jansen, he got to deal with the Astros, so good for him. Vizcaíno is right-handed. Shreve is left-handed, but he's only a 78, and he didn't pitch that great last year, so I thought we could do better. Then we have this guy, Joe Vega. Now, he's 85 overall, 2 years in the majors. Look at that, a 4-year, $2.8 million deal. So he's locked up for 4 years at a great contract. And if you look how he pitched last year, low 3 ERA. That's exactly what we're looking for. No, we're not looking for like Mario, the left-handed Mariano Rivera, like a Billy Wagner. We don't need that. We just want a guy who can get lefties out. And as you can see, they were not valuing him that high, which I thought was ridiculous because he is a really controllable contract. The contract is almost as good as the player. That's what I like seeing. So Steven Jennings is not one of our top pitching prospects, and then we added a third baseman, Bartolo. He's a B potential. He's already like 26 years old, like a 60-something overall. It got the deal done. So we got the reliever that we needed. Now we need to get the starting pitcher that we need. Now I was looking real quick because we had like Winston Mudd, who has like $2.5 million on his deal. We got a left reliever. We need to get rid of a righty reliever. I was kind of looking around. Was there like a power bat? Some Machado there with his albatross of a contract. But we didn't really find, I can tell you right now, I didn't really find anything for Winston Mudd right now in terms of a trade in regards to like a power hitting bench bat. That's what I was looking for. We have Josh Naylor right now as a power bench bat, and he's okay. He's like an 80-something overall, but I know he's going to get expensive too. There's Michael Fulmer, by the way, 99 overall, which is kind of crazy. Good for him. Hope the Tigers don't trade him this offseason. Time I'm recording this, they have not, unless they have while I'm recording this. Ian Anderson's a pitcher, so now we're looking for that pitcher. Ian Anderson was a guy I liked, but looking at the contracts, I was basically doing the math right now because he was like $14 million. I was adding a couple of players. Basically, we had just under $10 million to play with to get a starter. So, I could go get Tehran for like the 9, maybe like 7 or 8 because our deal was so much better than everyone else's. So, we could basically we can get a pitcher who has $10 million or less on their current contract, or we could take someone who's like 13, add $5 million of our own salaries going back, and we could get it. Now, here's a guy from the Nationals, pitched well, Damon Crockett. His first year, 2.85. The year before, 4.09 ERA. Then this past year, 2.87. He's only 20, I think it says 26, 28. But he has he's 28. He has a controllable contract, which I liked. Or he has service time available, which I like. So I offered to start off Luis Torres, not our A potential starting prospect, but he's a B potential. But he's an 80 overall. Like, he's ready to play in the bigs. We could use him, but I kind of want to do more. Jackie Jensen, who is an A potential. He was a number 2 overall pick, but he hasn't really, his attributes don't really like scream like he's going to be a star. He seems kind of the master, a jack of all trades, master of none. Now, this is the player that got the deal done was Bud Duffy. He's our speed guy on our bench. I don't want to trade him because you guys saw in the playoffs last year, we need to steal on base, bring in Bud. He steals the base. But I'm looking around, and nothing else really works. Or if it does, it's a player I don't want to move. So we're trying catchers, we're trying first baseman. I even put Josh Naylor because I was like, well, we could trade him and get like another guy with Winston Mudd. But nothing really worked. I didn't want to trade Welker. It didn't even work. Going through our shortstops, left fielders, and I was like, you know what? We can find another speed bat. He has 96 speed, 84 still. We can find like a 70-something overall. Just, you're going to be a guy on the team, and your value is a couple steals in October. And I got the deal done. I was like, you know what? This guy he has 3 years of service time. He's 28 years old, 90 overall. It got the deal done. We got him. We gave up Bud Duffy, but now we need to get another speed outfielder. So I checked real quick in free agency. I really didn't see a guy that I like in regards to getting that speed bat. When I put a bat, I'm doing air quotes. We don't want him to hit. If he can hit, it's a bonus, but then I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. So we go to the player search just to search for. I'll tell you right now, player search is broken. I was searching it up for positions of outfield. Like, I would search up for Bud Duffy himself, and I couldn't find it. I don't know what was up with that. If you guys know why I was having problems with this, let me know in the comments down below. But it did not end up not working in regards to searching for a player. I like the idea of the tool. They used to have that in High Heat Baseball 2001, 2002. Game long that came out probably before a lot of you guys were born. I used to play that game a lot back in the day, back on the computer actually. But they had a search tool, which was great. Like I said, this pulled up Billy Hamilton, who fits what we need. However, he's an 84 overall, and he makes like $9 million or something dollars, which was just a deal breaker. You're gonna be making $9 million. As a bench bet? No. Do we want him to start? Maybe over Gil Cruz. I was thinking about it, like, oh, we can have him go over Gil Cruz, but then we're spending a lot of money for a guy who doesn't really do much else. So notice Terrence Gore was an option. I was like, he's that low overall, so he's cheap, and he's in Double-A. So I was like, let's go get Terrence Gore. But as you can see, he doesn't have a contract yet. And I wanted to just try to trade for him. But as you can see, he has no deal on him. So we couldn't make a deal until he signs a contract. So I have to sim a little bit longer into free agency to see if the Royals, I think he was on the Royals, could then offer him up. Actually, I think did I check to see if his name was in free agency? No, I didn't. I didn't check that. So we're just simming. I'm just like, all right, let's just, as Andrew Toll signs with the Angels, let's just wait for him to sign. But I was like, you know what? We're at the Rule 5 draft. Let's just double check. Could we maybe find a speed outfielder in the Rule 5 draft? So we're searching, and I believe we do actually find someone here, if I do remember. This was a few days ago, so bear with me, guys. Here I think we found a couple guys with like 80 speed. Like, I'm watching this now live, so I'm excited as you guys. There's a guy with 86 speed. There's 89 speed with Hagen, Hagen, I believe. But then there's Mickey Jones. He has 93 speed, 91 steal, better steal, little worse speed, 70 overall, 28 years old. And I just double check right fields, but that guy seems to be the move. We get that speed. He can't hit. As you can see, he cannot hit. Can't even really field. But we're going to probably win the division just based off our team alone. So I really don't care what he does in the regular season. Like, if he has 100 at-bats in the regular season and hits $180, yeah, it's not ideal, but we can survive off that. Carson Fulmer signed. So I was like, that's fine. We will, if we get this trade that ends up being just a terrible trade, we get that outfielder out of the Rule 5 draft who does exactly what Bud Duffy does, but Duffy got us the starter we needed. So as you can see, that trade was just pointless. Actually, Brandon Marsh was a former A. They offered us back. Didn't need him, so thanks, but no thanks for the offer. Ronnie Childs signed. He had a qualifying arm attached to him. I liked him, but I'm not going to give up a draft pick. Granite signed. I got traded, to the Astros. And now we're basically almost done with the offseason. We have arbitration, and our catcher, actually, the arbitration panel sided with him. Tehran only signed for $4.68 million. We could have got Tehran pretty cheap. We end up getting that starter, though, 90 overall. I mean, hindsight 2020, I bet, looking back on it, I probably should have taken the deal for like $5 million on Tehran and just dealt with a one-year deal. But we got the starter. Hopefully that starter pans out next year for us. We're at the rest of the offseason now. We can just finish it. We don't have anything else to do. And I think we're almost done with the video. I'm not sure if we do something at the end here or not. We're looking at our rotation now in case you want to see what it looks like. There's Crockett. We got Weaver. We got Hutchinson. We got Spanos. And then we got that top prospect, Pinheiro. So that's not a bad rotation. As you can see, our bullpen looks pretty stacked. We got a 97, a 90, an 87, and a couple 83s, and an 80. Really good. And actually, for some reason, they didn't have Ullman in the majors. We want him. He's our third lefty. Ullman's our third lefty. That's going to really help us in the playoffs, I feel like. We had to figure out something to call down. Eric Gordon is the cheapest option. Or we have Winston Mudd, which we could trade. Brian Feller has pitched well for us the last couple years, so he's obviously going to stay up in the bigs. I believe, I just want to make sure. So we went to top prospects. I was like, you know what? Let's see if we can get our prospect here that I kind of like. Like, maybe there's a player here that we could trade a couple positions of excess. So I'm looking here, and there is a left fielder. Where is he? There's a first baseman I looked up, but there's a left fielder. I see him right now, waiting for me to highlight him. I believe there he is right there, Angel Perez. He has really good hit tool, not much power tool. Kind of reminds me of Derek Griffith. And if you're like Derek Griffith, you can hit 300 and play pretty good defense, I want to try to get him. So I went to the Mariners, and we're going to try to get some deals. Then we have the Asparati guy as well, who's in the minors. But I don't really love Gil Cruz. If he struggles this upcoming year, I think Gil Cruz will move on from him. So I offered Winston Mudd, and I'm looking at it, it's like, we can get this deal done. They like Mudd a lot. And he's not a bad reliever. I mean, his ERA is in the mid threes. $2.5 million deal isn't that bad. I included Acevedo because he's kind of struggled with us. And then I think you're looking at that, it's basically done. We just add a throw-in piece, a second baseman. Boom, we get a top prospect in baseball. We'll let him marinate in AAA, tear it up down there, and boom, we got really excess in the relievers, in the right-handed relievers. We kept the cheap guys. We got a top prospect, which helps build our farm system. So even though, like, that's why I always say, guys, in the draft, don't draft based off need. Draft best player available. Now, if it's everything's equal and you don't have like any preference, then take the need. Other than that, just take the best player available because you can always just trade for the need in a year or two. And that's exactly what we did there. So as you can see, our bullpen, Triggs is the long man. Now, I think we had to call someone down. I believe that's when we called down Eric Gordon. No, not the basketball player, our reliever. So we had to then just call up a couple guys to AAA because their roster was not filled out. And that's pretty much it for the video, I do believe. I think we're just going to go over the lineup real quick. I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize. The video wasn't up to par. The audio was never a problem. It wasn't really synced. So I'm kind of just doing this back over. I won't do this in the future. I apologize. I was like sick to my stomach when I was watching this back. And I was like, crap, I screwed up. But it sounds like, I mean, I guess this is better than nothing. The video is not great, but if you watch it, just kind of like a background, kind of me talking over it, I guess it's fine. I guarantee this will not happen again because I will make sure before I save my A's franchise on my PS4, I'll make sure the file isn't really, I don't want to call it corrupted, as we're putting AJ Warner as our DH. We're going to have him back near the bottom of the order. He looks to be like a really good hitter, but I want him to prove it, give the veterans higher up in the order. We're going to have Whitaker, Griffith, Trout, Villalobos, and then Elias bat. I think that's the top of our lineup. Our lineup looks really good. Luis Diaz is just like a number 7 hitter, who's not like a great hitter, but as a number 7 hitter, not too bad. Naylor's our bench, guys. You can see there's our lineup. And that's it for the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Take it easy. Peace.